Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Stoicism is one of the most widespread philosophies alive today. It's known for promoting a mature, resilient mindset, and also known for the Stoic people who represent it, such as Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, Socrates, Seneca, and of course nowadays PewDiePie and other content creators. Because we're going to describe what I believe to be the main emotional mechanisms facilitated by Stoicism, let's describe what the structure of an emotion is. Any emotion will have four components to it. Firstly, the contextual component, describing what has happened to elicit the emotion. Then the somatic component, describing what the body is doing to contain the emotion. The cognitive component, meaning the interpretation and the story behind what's happened and how it affects us. And finally, the behavioral component, meaning what the body is doing to satisfy or resolve the emotion. If you think of sadness or fear, there is a story behind it, anchored in some facts, and the person who feels it will feel the sadness in their body, like painful, tense sensations in their neck, their gut, their heads, etc. And also, this person will want to do something about it, which sadness, for example, it usually calls for grieving. So now back to Stoicism, it has a few adaptive facets to it and a few that are not so adaptive. One of its fundamental tenets is taking responsibility for things one has in their control. Stoics believe that we should focus on our thoughts, beliefs, and actions and let go of things such as the actions of others or the course of events in the world as such, which is vastly outside of our control. So here we can actually see what Stoicism gets right, because it proposes that emotions are not just reactions to external events, but outcomes of our judgments and beliefs about said external events. In other words, Stoics correctly posit that emotions are not just this somatic component, but also this cognitive element, meaning that any emotion is also the result of how we judge any external event that affects us. In light of that, a primary emotional mechanism that Stoicism facilitates is actually hopelessness. And here I'll take a slight detour to describe what helpful hopelessness can represent in the psychotherapeutic process. So, most people who get into therapy for various emotional or interpersonal issues will inevitably have to deal with something that we call unfinished business. Unfinished business refers to past wounds left from important relationships in our lives, most of the times our parents, who may have failed to offer us what we needed or moreover inflict various types of pain, all of which was repressed for various reasons. But besides the pain and the emotional scarring, unfinished business also leaves us with, you may have guessed it, hope. Hope that those people will offer us what we needed, or apologize, or even take responsibility for what they did. This hope usually becomes maladaptive. In most cases, those people who hurt us will not be able to offer us what we needed from them, and we partially know that, and so a sign that the person who's coming to therapy has been able to transform beyond the pain they've endured is actually this kind of adaptive hopelessness. This involves no longer clinging to the slim chance of receiving what we need from those individuals. It's kind of the same thing as for the fear of death. We know we can't escape it, and at some point everybody, including us, will die, but something that makes us cling to this fear is actually our hope that death isn't inevitable, that we can do something about it. And so hopelessness is actually a beneficial emotion in these cases because it allows us to, as Stoics say, let go of these things that are outside of our control, including death. This makes room for new, transformative experiences and allows us to grow. Another mechanism involved in Stoicism is adaptive pride. Pride seems to be something that humans evolved in order to facilitate social organization based on fitness, experience, and competence. Of course, all of these things tend to lead to material gain too, but not necessarily the other way around. In any case, the association between wealth and competence is still there in the collective mind, and so some people may try to exploit this or fall in the trap themselves, so to speak, by being attracted to someone with material wealth, thinking they also possess a good character. So something that Stoics, I think, correctly support is the cultivation of this alternative, authentic pride, the pride derived from authentically virtuous actions. Something that Stoicism doesn't get right, I think, is the degree of control one actually has over both their beliefs and somatic expressions. Emotion at its core is functional information. It is based in some factual things, and it indicates some needs, some of which are social, meaning needs we cannot by default satisfy on our own. We can try to change emotion with cognition to alter the way we understand our experience, but more effectively we can change emotion with emotion and understanding. If someone's maladaptively sad, for example, meaning they get overcome by a kind of sadness that doesn't help them carry on, there is a good chance this person's sadness is actually covering another emotion, maybe an underlying fragile anger which they weren't allowed to express without consequence before. On top of this, Stoics only have a partial understanding of sadness or anger, because they only have a partial understanding of emotions. Stoicism poses that the universe operates according to rational principles, while emotions can somehow lead to irrational behavior, which is simply false, unless we're talking about someone with serious psychiatric disorders, in which case most things tend to be chaotic anyway, perceptions, computations, beliefs, etc. Stoicism, with its emphasis on rationality and reason, can sometimes lead us to overlook the inherent value of our emotions, because emotions are not just fleeting states of mind, but profound expressions of our inner functioning, meaning they are the language of our needs and values. By somehow trying to prioritize rationality over emotion, Stoicism is likely to falsely reduce these rich and complex experiences to mere cognitive processes. Moreover, Stoicism's call for emotional detachment can be misconstrued as a call for emotional suppression. This is somewhat of a dangerous path to tread either way, in light of established psychological literature describing that emotional suppression can lead to increased stress, poorer mental health, and less satisfying social relationships. It's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. It takes a lot of effort, and when you finally let go of it, it just pops up more forcefully than before. So just like the beach ball, your emotions won't simply go away. Stoicism thus also falls short in its lack of emphasis on emotional expression. Expressing our emotions in a healthy way is a crucial part of emotional regulation. It's a release, a way of letting go. It's also a way of communicating our inner state to others, fostering empathy and connection. By not encouraging emotional expression, Stoicism may leave individuals ill-equipped to handle intense emotional experiences in the long run. Finally, we have Stoicism's focus on managing negative emotions and cultivating said detachment, which can sometimes lead to a neglect of positive emotions. Joy, love, or excitement, these are all emotions that make life worth living. They inspire us, motivate us, and connect us to others. A balanced emotional life should involve the cultivation and savoring of these positive emotions, not just the so-called management of negative ones. In conclusion, while Stoicism offers valuable insights into the nature of emotions and how to manage them, it's not without its flaws. It's a philosophy that needs to be approached with caution, taking the best it has to offer while being mindful of its potential pitfalls. After all, we are emotional beings, and to deny or suppress this essential aspect of ourselves is to deny or suppress a fundamental part of who we are. If you like this video and would like to support my channel, make sure to leave a like and a subscribe. It takes only a few seconds and it helps me and motivates me to continue doing this. Moreover, keep an eye on my Patreon, the link is in the description, where you will be able to also support my content at the price of a coffee. So, thank you, I'll see you around.
Wake up every day, I have some food and everything seems like it's going to be fine. Then all of a sudden shit